Hello again, fellow Moto dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to install a Power Commander V into a KTM RC390 using Project Scorpion, my 2017 model. Now there are already a few videos out there on YouTube by Dynojet as well as a few other teams of people such as the folks at Hard Racing, but I believe they used the 2015 model year KTM RC390, which does differ a little bit, so I just wanted to make a couple of distinctions for this 2017 and newer model year. First and foremost being the kit you actually get. For the 2016 and earlier KTM RC390 models, the kit actually comes with a separate O2 optimizer. I don't know if it's that it's not needed or if it's just simply already incorporated in the base unit, but my kit from my 2017 did not actually come with an O2 optimizer. Also on this featured 2015 model year RC390, you can see that the ECU has a quick detach feature. Unfortunately, on the 2017s and newers, they do not have that, so I had to remove it from the gas tank by simply loosening the 4 screws on this bracket and then removing it and setting it gently down on top of where the air filter goes. The last major difference I wanted to mention is the gas tank itself. In the official Dynojet installation video, it is stated that there is a wiring harness as well as 2 tubes that need to be disconnected before you can finally remove the gas tank. However, on the 2017 and newer, there's actually 4 tubes that need to be disconnected as well as a wiring harness. 2 of the tubes are kept on by simple pinch cock clamps. These can be easily removed by using a pair of pliers. The other 2 tubes are kept on by simple quick disconnect couplings. These can be removed by simply squeezing on the green tabs and pulling the hose off the nozzle. Well, that's pretty much it for the differences not covered in those videos. Now let's go ahead and move on to the tools you're going to need for this project. The tools for this project are going to be pretty basic. First, you're going to need a 4mm and 5mm Allen key or hex bit for your socket wrench to remove both side fairings as well as the gas cover cap and the gas tank shroud. Next, you're going to need a 10mm socket to remove the seat retention bolts to allow you to remove the gas tank shroud. You're also going to need, I think, a 13mm socket. Guys, you're going to have to forgive me. I can't remember what size specifically the bolts are that hold the gas tank down, and I didn't think to document it as I was doing it. So I'm not 100% positive, but I want to say it was right around 13mm. Obviously, if you have a very complete socket wrench kit, you should have the right size in there. You should also have a couple pairs of pliers on hand to help you get those tabs separated for the wiring harnesses, and a Phillips head screwdriver to help you get the battery terminals off. This miniature straight slot screwdriver is a gem for getting those tabs on the wiring harnesses off in tight spaces. Alright, now for the fun part. Procedures. Step 1 of this project should be to start stripping down the fairings, starting with both side fairings. Once you have separated the right side fairing from the body, don't forget to disconnect the turn signal wiring. The left side fairing will be just a little bit more involved, but we'll get to that in a minute. Originally I was going to try and keep this video as short and to the point as possible, but then I realized something. One of the problems with the videos that we see out there already is those people tried to make the videos very short as well, to the point, step by step, leaving a lot of gaps in between. The problem with this is if you don't know what you're doing, kind of like me, you are left with a few gaps that you have to kind of connect the dots on your own. This can make this project a little bit more daunting. So instead, I opted to leave all this time-lapse footage in so that you can see me tearing the bike down piece by piece to hopefully make it a little bit easier and to make you a little bit more confident when you go to do the same thing. Now compared to, say, swapping out your headlights or putting on some stickers or maybe even putting on an aftermarket exhaust, I get it. This is up there on the scale of difficulty, but don't let that deter you. This is not actually that hard. It's a bit involved because you do have to remove pretty much all the body fairings in the gas tank, but doing the work yourself will definitely leave you with a feeling of accomplishment. You will be able to tell anybody who asks you what you have done to the bike, hey, I installed this, I did that. You don't have to brag about somebody else's work. And you even save some money along the way, which you can then use to buy more hardware to put on the bike and riding gear. And if that's not incentive enough to do the work yourself, I don't know what is. Remember, when removing the left side fairing, in addition to the turn signal wire, you will also have a charcoal canister for your emissions system attached to the inside of the fairing itself with a rubber belt. To remove it, simply pull it and unhook the belt. Also, pull free any rubber tubes that are attached and just gently set everything out of the way. Motorcycling is more than just a hobby. It's a passion, a lifestyle. It doesn't matter if you're a daily rider or just a casual weekend warrior. All motorcycle enthusiasts have one thing in common, and that is a love for the feeling of freedom that riding motorcycles gives us. What better way to pay tribute to that freedom than to free yourself from the bondage of having to rely on others to do work for you that you are perfectly capable of doing yourself. All it takes is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15, well, you get the picture. Just like the Old Spice commercial slogan says, believe in yourself and you can accomplish anything. Once you have removed the battery cover and the gas cap, your next step should be to remove the gas tank shroud. To remove those final two bolts that hold the seat in place, you're going to need a 10mm socket and socket wrench. If there's still any gas in the gas tank, you may want to put the gas cap back on and lock it in place using the key to ensure nothing spills out. Now it's time to remove the battery. Go ahead and grab your Phillips screwdriver and loosen the terminals. Alright, now that we got the battery out of the way, these front two bolts right here are what I was talking about earlier. I believe these front two bolts holding the gas tank on are 13mm, so you're going to need a 13mm socket for your socket wrench. Now, it may actually be easier to remove the ECU off the back of the gas tank before you start loosening these bolts. You'll see me do that here in a minute. For those, you will need the smaller 4mm Allen wrench or hex bit for your socket wrench. Alright, now once you get the bracket for the ECU off, you can just gently set it down on top of the intake filter right there. I would suggest then putting the bracket back on and putting the bolts finger tight. This will make it easier to keep track of all four bolts and the bracket so you don't have to go fishing around for the parts later. You'll know exactly where they are. Alright, once you remove the ECU from the back of the gas tank and all four bolts holding the gas tank on the bike, you should be ready to disconnect the four hoses and the wiring harness underneath the gas tank, so you can get it out of the way and get to those other wiring harnesses you need to get to connect the Power Commander. Don't forget to pull the fuel filter out from underneath the gas tank as well. It will be the white capsule looking thing. Here I'm just trying to disconnect the wiring harness that's connected directly to the gas tank. With 3 of the hoses and the wiring harness already disconnected, all we need to take care of is this last hose and we should be able to get the gas tank out of our way. Following the instructions in Dynojet's installation video, I'm going to place the Power Commander here for now to make it easier to feed the wiring harnesses through the body of the motorcycle. Alright, there's going to be a total of 4 connections that you need to make with the Power Commander. I sort of do this in reverse from what the Dynojet video shows me, but to me it just made sense to start at the end of the strand and work my way back towards the Power Commander. Alright, here is our first connection, the ignition coil, located on the right hand side of the motorcycle towards the front. For this, you're going to use the white connectors on the very end of the strand of the Power Commander. Alright, the second connection you need to make is to the throttle position sensor, located just behind the frame wheel where your motorcycle's VIN sticker is. For this connection, you should use the next set of wiring harnesses on the Power Commander strand, which should be black 6-pin connectors. Disconnecting the stock wiring harness was a little more difficult for me to figure out. It took me a while. But there, I finally got it. Remember, for this one you're going to want to use the black 6-pin connector on the Power Commander. At first I routed the wiring on the outside of the frame, but wanting to protect the wire loom I decided to route the wiring through the inside of the frame instead. Once you are done re-establishing the connection to the throttle position sensor, it's safe to zip tie the section of wiring between the first connection and this second connection to the frame. Alright, now on to the third connection, the fuel injector. This view is looking down where the gas tank used to be from above. To the right of your screen is the front of the motorcycle, and to the left of your screen is the rear of the motorcycle. Go ahead and move the fuel tubing out of the way and disconnect this gray 2-pin connector to the fuel injector. You are going to use the corresponding grayish colored 2-pin connector on the Power Commander loom. The fourth connection you'll need to make will be to the crank position sensor. Look for this white or clear 6-pin connector located just a few inches away from where you made the previous connection to the fuel injector. Look for this slit in the rubber shroud and you should be able to find it right in there. In this camera angle, the front of the motorcycle is towards the top of your screen and the back of the motorcycle is towards the bottom of your screen. Now as you can see, I did struggle with this one a little bit until I realized how to properly disengage this wiring harness. The wiring on the top half of it was already pulled taut, so pulling up on it didn't do anything even though I was already releasing the tab. What you need to do is get a good grip on the top half of the wire harness, and once you release the tab, push down on the bottom half so that you can disengage them and reconnect them to the loom of the Power Commander. One important piece of information to note here, both the video from Dynojet as well as the printed instructions from Dynojet both told me to use a white 6-pin connector on the Power Commander loom. However, that is from the old kit for the 2016 and prior year KTM RC390s. On the Power Commander kit for the 2017 and newer models, they've actually changed that 6-pin connector from white or clear to black. So even though the instructions tell you to use the white 6-pin connector, you're actually going to find a black one on the Power Commander wire loom, but the 6-pin connector on the bike is still white in color. So once again, look for the white 6-pin connector on the bike, but you're going to use the black 6-pin connector on the Power Commander wire loom. Alright Moto dudes and dudettes, now that we've made all 4 connections on the Power Commander loom, what we can do is make all the connections back to the gas tank, reinstall our battery, and don't forget to connect the ground on the Power Commander unit to the ground of the battery. Once you do that, you should be able to test fire your motorcycle to make sure everything's running properly. So for the gas tank, you're going to go ahead and reconnect the wiring harness, followed by the 2 quick disconnect tubes and the 2 tubes that are held on by pinch-caught clamps. Alright everybody, as you can see, we partially got the bike back together. It's just sort of mocked up right now. What I did is I went ahead and reconnected all the connections to the gas tank just to make sure that it'll run. Also, I went ahead and connected the ground wire to the ground of the battery and connected the battery, of course. So now that I got that all squared away, we can go ahead and fire it up and see if it works okay. Hopefully it does. Alright, here we go. We're going to test fire it for the first time since we installed the Power Commander, just to make sure it runs before we start putting everything back together. Here we go. Fingers crossed. Yes! Oh, thank God. It works! It's alive! Alright, you guys, there you have it. Now I'll finish putting the bike back together and then I'll go ahead and take her out for a spin and see how she runs. Well, Moto dudes and dudettes, that concludes the tutorial video. I'll be sure to include some important and helpful links in the description of this video to help you along. If you have any questions, comments, or concern, or if you just want to leave me some love, feel free to do so down in the comments section. Also, please don't forget to click like and subscribe so that I know I'm doing a good job for you. I appreciate all your views and feedback, so please keep them coming. I'm also working on a video review to give you some first-hand feedback and let you know how the Power Commander V affected the performance. So please be sure to stay tuned to the channel. As always, fellow Moto dudes and dudettes, Ride safe and have fun. Peace!